Ba 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 boom! Welcome to Sportsbit Betting Insight today from SBRpicks.com. It is Monday, June 4th. I'm joined by Ian Cameron Babana. We have no Paulie today. Paulie gets one day off every once in a while. We'll give him today off on Monday. He'll be back again as usual tomorrow. But today's show absolutely loaded. All the bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books from last night. We're going to break down Caps and Knights game 4. We're going to take a deep dive into the 2018 Denver Broncos over under split line there, 7 or 7.5. We'll turn the shot clock on and talk about which manager is going to get fired next. We'll close out the show with our play of the day when it comes to hockey time. All right, let's start right here. Can the Caps take command? We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but we're going to begin with what happened yesterday. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. We'll start with the Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Golden State closed 11.5, 216. They win 122 to 103. Blow them out in the fourth quarter. 57% shooting for the Warriors. Steph Curry sets a three-point record, 9 of them in an NBA final game, besting Ray Allen's all-time mark. And so much for a J.R. Smith bounce back. The Cavs minus 29 through 2 games with J.R. Smith on the floor. Ian, it was Golden State when it mattered most yesterday. The Warriors turned it on, and not a great result for the books with Golden State in the over cashing in.
No doubt about it, Teddy. And we were looking at J.R. Smith, at least for me going into game 2, Teddy, is J.R. Smith. What were we going to see out of him? One of the more colossal blunders you're ever going to see from a mental standpoint in an NBA Finals game. Totally forgetting score and situation. Maybe an opportunity for him to bounce back and show you something. Well, he showed you not a whole lot. 2 of 9, 5 points. Not very productive. The Cleveland defense sort of reverted back to that regular season defense. They gave up 122 points on 94 possessions, giving up 1.29 points per possession, this Cavs defense. And quite simply, Teddy, you're going to let Klay Thompson score 20. You're going to let Durant get to the lane and get to the paint without much resistance. And you're going to let Steph Curry basically bomb away from you with very little contesting from three-point range. Now, a couple of those were incredible shots, but a lot of it was not very good contesting and bad perimeter defense. When you allow that to happen, Teddy, you're not going to have a good chance to win or cover. And we saw that with Cleveland on display last night in game 2.
Although, when we look at the game 3 opener, the Warriors opened 5.5 on the road. The early money has come on the Cavs. That line, 4.5, just about everywhere as I'm looking right now. A handful of books still have 5 total, sitting at 217 right now. And you asked me about what the turning point for game 2 was. I really thought it was the non-call on Steph Curry when Curry whacked into James as LeBron was going in for what would have been, in theory, an uncontested dunk. There was a no call. Then there was a technical foul on Ty Lue, of all guys. Ty Lue barely says anything to the refs. It seemed that after that, whatever momentum the Cavs had was pretty much gone. Golden State went on a run immediately after, and it was pretty much garbage time for most of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I find it funny, Teddy. All the season we look at Cleveland, they get every call. Ty Lue is never ever upset. Now all of a sudden in 2 games, I don't think I've seen him as upset in 3 years as I've seen him in these last 2 games here in this series. You see LeBron James getting curt with the reporters the other night, saying, leave my teammate alone. They were trying to goad him into making a remark about J.R. Smith. He says, be better tomorrow. Then you got Steve Kerr last night giving it back a little to LeBron, a little poke the bear thing where he says, you guys were a lot better today. In his post-game press conferences talking about the reporters. So a little bit of a verbal head game going on with Steve Kerr, a little jab back at LeBron for his little walk out of the press conference with his little man purse at the end of game 1. So things getting a little bit interesting, even though off the court, although on the court, 2-0 series lead, Golden State in complete control. We'll see if they've got that mindset to put their foot down and bury Cleveland as the scene shifts back to Quicken Loans Arena on Wednesday night.
It sure does. Bad beats. Well, I don't know if there were any really brutal beats yesterday. There's certainly a couple of unders worth talking about. Let's start in Detroit. The Tigers and Jays, you bet the first 5 under, you had no problem. It was 0-0 after 5 innings. If you bet the full game under, well, it got to 9 by the top of the 8th. Neither bullpen got the job done. Toronto snaps their skid and beats Detroit. The game goes over the total.
Yeah, I mean, for Toronto, they finally got a good start out of Aaron Sanchez. I mean, really all the damage was done off that Detroit bullpen, which a lot of teams tend to do damage against that Tigers pen. It's been very hit or miss. We know the Jays pen has been a little bit spotty. They gave up a few runs late in that game, and all of a sudden what was a 0-0 game up until midway through that baseball game just exploded with a couple of pens that quite simply, Teddy, couldn't put the fire out.
And this is another game. It doesn't qualify as a bad beat. It really doesn't. The Reds Padres under 7.5, and they ended up with 9. But it was kind of a bad beat. If you watch the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Since he had Luis Castillo on the hill, the guy was unhittable for 4 innings. He got into one jam and then gave up one well-hit ball, and it turned out to be a grand slam. And then a pair of solo shots in the 8th, one for each team, sends the game over 7.5. Reds Padres under. A tough beat. Certainly not a wrong side.
Yeah, I mean, Luis Castillo is a guy that's turned things around at least to some extent. I mean, he had a rough April. He just couldn't get anybody out that first month of the season, but we've seen him pitch a little bit better as of late. We know Tyson Ross, historically, Petco Park's been a good place for him to be pitching in, and he delivered a pretty solid effort for the most part, but the grand slam off Castillo in that 5th inning was also pivotal for this game, ended up finding its way over the total. How about the bad beat, too, if you had Cincinnati first 5 innings? My goodness. I mean, San Diego just pulls that 5-inning bet out of their hat with that grand slam, turning a 2-0 Padres deficit into a 4-2 Padres lead. If you had Reds 5th inning or first 5 innings line, that's pretty darn tough to lose that one.
No doubt, but Ian, you're allowed to say ass here. You can say they pulled it out of their ass. We're not on terrestrial radio, of course. Bad bets from yesterday. One worth talking about, the Pirates. There was a bunch of money coming on Pittsburgh yesterday. They closed only as short dogs. Wacha shut them out. Michael Wacha at home has been dominant. 5-0 St. Louis. Money for the Pirates. That was a bad bet. And one result worth talking about, bad for the books. We saw over steam in every game at Coors Field over the weekend. The Rockies and the Dodgers, 19 runs, 16 runs, 17 runs in the 3-game set. Books got pounded with over money in all 3 of those ball games.
Yeah, and some of that on Sunday was mine, Teddy. I gave a SBR Play of the Day video, not to toot our own horn, but we liked over 11.5 Dodgers and Rockies on Sunday with Alex Wood against Chad Bettis. I'm not a Bettis guy. Woods had a terrible track record at Coors Field, 8.18 ERA going into yesterday. Didn't get any better with that horrible result as Colorado absolutely pounded him early in that baseball game, and pretty much a no-sweat winner if you had the over, as that one flies over. Over bettors cashing tickets left and right, as you mentioned, all weekend long at Coors Field. Pitching just not very good, starting or bullpen, to be that frank with you, on either side throughout that series.
Worth noting, though, the Dodgers lineup that hadn't hit is starting to hit right about now. Like the show? Help us keep the lights on. Please make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to all the Sportsbook Review videos. Thanks so much. Best of luck. Enjoy the games.